The first time I saw Maddie Cole wearing my shirt, I forgot how to hold a coffee mug. It just slipped right out of my hand, hit the counter, and rolled onto the floor like it had better places to be. That's the kind of effect she had on me, apparently, even at 7 in the morning, even when I wasn't trying to notice her at all. I'm Nathan Reyes, 30 years old, a software developer in Denver who spent most of his 20s convinced that falling for a roommate was the fastest way to ruin a perfectly good living arrangement. Maddie had moved into my spare room 11 months earlier after her old lease fell through 2 weeks before move-in. A mutual friend vouched for her. "She's easy to live with," he said. That was technically true. She just hadn't mentioned that easy to live with also meant impossible to stop thinking about. Maddie was 28, a freelance illustrator who worked from the kitchen table because she said the light was better there, and who hummed constantly without realizing it. She left half-finished sketches on every surface of our apartment: napkins, receipts, the back of my electric bill once. She also had a habit of borrowing my hoodies just for 5 minutes that somehow turned into entire weekends. So that morning, when I walked out of my room half asleep and found her standing at the stove in nothing but my gray button-up shirt, sleeves rolled past her wrists, hem hitting mid-thigh, hair piled into a messy knot, my brain just quietly powered down. "Oh," she said, glancing over her shoulder, completely unbothered. "Morning," I stared. That's my shirt." "Is it?" She looked down at herself like this was breaking news. "Huh. Guess I grabbed the wrong one off the hook." "You don't have a hook in your room that looks anything like my hook." Details. She flipped a pancake with the kind of confidence that suggested she'd been doing this for a while. "Sit down. You're letting all the awkward tension escape through the window." I sat down, mostly because my legs needed somewhere to be other than holding me up. "You could have worn one of your own shirts," I said. "I could have." She didn't elaborate. "Maddie. Nathan. Why mine?" She paused, spatula hovering, and for half a second the playful mask slipped just slightly. Then she turned around fully, leaned back against the counter, and looked at me with an expression I hadn't seen from her before. Something quieter, less performance, more truth. "Honestly," she said, "I like the way it smells." The room went very still. Somewhere outside, a delivery truck rattled past. Inside, I just sat there holding a coffee mug that had betrayed me 5 minutes earlier, trying to figure out if I'd heard her correctly. "You what?" "I like the way it smells," she repeated, slower this time, like she was testing whether saying it twice made it less terrifying. "It smells like you, like your detergent, and your cologne, and that coffee you drink way too much of. I wear it sometimes when you're at work. I just never get caught. You wear my shirts. Regularly. Don't make it weird. You're standing in my kitchen, in my shirt, telling me you wear my clothes for the smell, and I'm the one making it weird?" She bit back a smile. "When you say it like that, it does sound concerning." I should have laughed it off. That would have been the safe move, the roommate-approved move. Instead, I found myself standing up, crossing the kitchen, stopping close enough that she had to tilt her chin up to look at me. "Maddie," I said. "How long?" "How long what? How long have you been doing this?" She exhaled, and the bravado finally cracked all the way open. "Since March." "March," I repeated. "It's October." I'm aware of the calendar, Nathan. 8 months. 8 months of her quietly stealing pieces of me and tucking them away like something private, something she wasn't ready to admit out loud, until a Tuesday morning pancake disaster forced her hand. "Why didn't you just tell me?" I asked. She looked down at the sleeve bunched in her fist. "Because you're my roommate. Because if I told you, and you got weird about it, I'd have nowhere else to live and a much worse breakfast routine. Because saying it out loud makes it real, and real things can be ruined." That last part landed somewhere deep in my chest. I knew that fear. I'd been carrying a version of it myself for months. Every time she fell asleep on the couch during a movie, and I didn't wake her, every time she left a sketch of my hands on the counter and pretended it was nothing, every time I caught myself memorizing the sound of her laugh through the wall. "Can I tell you something?" I said. "Is it going to make breakfast burn?" "Probably." "Then say it fast." "I've been buying the same cologne for 3 years because you told me once you liked it." I told myself it was a coincidence, every single time I restocked it. Maddie's eyes widened slightly. "That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern." "I'm aware, Nathan." "Yeah? You've been doing your own quiet, stupid version of this the whole time." "Looks like it." The pancake, predictably, started smoking behind her. Neither of us moved. She finally reached back and clicked off the burner without looking, never breaking eye contact with me, like the pan had become the least urgent thing in the room. "So," she said, "what do we do with this information?" I reached out, slow enough that she could step back if she wanted. She didn't. My fingers caught the edge of the shirt collar, my shirt collar, resting against her collarbone. "I think," I said, "we stop pretending it's about the smell." Her breath caught. "It was never just about the smell." "I know. You're very smug for a man who just dropped his own coffee mug 10 minutes ago. I'm allowed 1 moment of confidence a day. I'm using it now." She laughed, soft and real, and something in her whole posture loosened, like she'd been holding her breath for 8 months and had finally let it go. I leaned down slowly, giving her every chance to pull away. She didn't. When I kissed her, she tasted like sugar and nerve, and her hand came up to fist gently in the front of my own shirt, like she planned on keeping a hold of both me and the fabric this time. When we broke apart, she rested her forehead against mine, smiling in a way I'd never seen on her before, unguarded, unhidden. "For the record," she murmured, "I'm keeping the shirt." "For the record," I said, "I'm buying more cologne." Behind her, the abandoned pancake finally gave up entirely and slid off the spatula onto the counter. Neither of us looked at it. We had better things to pay attention to. 8 months of almosts finally landing exactly where they were supposed to. What would you have done if you walked in on your roommate wearing your shirt and she told you she liked the way it smells? Have you ever had a small, ordinary moment turn into something bigger than you expected? Tell me your story in the comments. If you liked this one, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.